Hello, good morning and welcome. My name is Gail and I'm the host of Random Life Productions, and today I am doing a short trip around London. I've been lucky enough to have got tickets to the Andy Warhol exhibition, which I have been to, and it was absolutely fantastic. I'll include a few shots in here, and London is incredibly very quiet today. It's unbelievably so. I mean, Borough Market is normally heaving, but as I walked in at 10 o'clock this morning, it was unusually quiet. So I'm going to continue this journey through London, and you can join me. I'm standing on Bankside, and I'm in an area where some of the buildings of the Peabody Trust are built. Look at these are really beautiful, and these buildings were built in the 18th century, probably around the time of when Jack the Ripper was around in London. And these would have been provided to people of good character and high moral standing. It's really interesting to see that these houses are in really nice condition now, but they're still provided for people who are on minimal income. However, if you were to buy a flat in this area, you wouldn't get a flat really for under £1 million. So it's quite ironic that this area of London, which was quite poor in the 18th century, is indeed quite rich. Like every place in London, so many businesses are losing money because of lack of tourists, and the Tate Gallery, like I said, has only recently opened and they can only let so many people in there. So even the Tate Modern at this time of year is very quiet, and the bars and restaurants are getting busier, but it's really difficult. You can see how quiet it is in London, which is very unusual. It's very good if you're a visitor and you want to film, but if you're trying to make a living in the restaurant business at the moment, it's hard. So all you Londoners, support your local restaurants and small businesses so they can put food on their families' tables. I've been messing around also with some of the vintage lenses, so included today will be some images I took on my Pentax Takomar camera and also my Zeiss 35mm. I like playing with vintage lenses, but when you're doing vlogs, it's really hard to use them because you'll probably keep getting out of focus. Right in front of us there is the Shard, which was built about 10 or 15 years ago. I'm going to now walk towards Borough Market. I cannot believe it, about 20 years ago in 1999, I was standing in this area waiting for New Year's to come in, and it was a wonderful view. People had queued up all night, and I was quite fortunate in that I was able to get a front row seat when the fireworks went off. And if I turn it round, half the buildings that you'll see weren't even on the skyline then. So straight ahead of you, a lot of the buildings that you can see behind the old bridge building there were never here at the time, and now they've been built. They're all new, so this area is quite an area of development. We're now in the South Bank area. We're just before the Shakespeare Theatre, so we're going to have a look at that. And ahead of us right now is St Paul's Cathedral, right there. It was forecast today that we were going to have sun, but it looks like it's going to pour down with rain and be about 40 degrees tomorrow. So this is the storm before the absolute cracker of the day. Normally this part of the city would be absolutely buzzing, but again, it's because of COVID. A lot of people aren't actually coming to tour London. The tide is out now, so you're able to go onto the side of the river here, and people call it mudlarking, I guess. So people are down here now. They're going to be mudlarking, so let's go and just walk on the banks of the river. You have to be very careful doing this because obviously the Thames is a tidal river, and if you go at the wrong time you can end up getting stuck. So just make sure that you go at the correct time because the tide here will come in quite quickly. So a lot of people, when they come down to the river, they basically come down and they collect treasures that the Thames kind of picks up at night. There's also a lot of plastics in the river, which is a bit sad. So it's getting into the ecosystem. So if you've got any plastic, people, please don't throw it into the rivers. Throw it into the bins so it doesn't go in our rivers and ocean and pollute our food chain. Look at this view here. So this is the Bankside Pier, and you can buy tickets there for a boat which will go down the river and will take you to Greenwich. You can do the commercial one, or you can buy an Oyster card and use your Oyster card to go down the river. It's actually a very, very nice trip down the river. It's a bit of an overcast day today. It's more overcast than I thought it would be. So I've just upped the aperture of my camera a little bit. But it is pretty down here. Because I keep moving, the bloody lighting keeps changing. But, ooh, and I've just trod in some wet sand, so be careful when you're treading some wet sand, because my flip-flop weighs 100 pounds now. But I guess it is a good place to take pictures because you've got different lighting, you've got different vantage points and everything. But yeah, Bankside, London, it's quite a fun little thing to do. So there's the photo shoot taking place down there. There's a guy and a girl right down there, and she's got green hair and he's got a really advanced camera. So it's quite fun to watch them setting up. A lot of people also come down here to do lawn exposure because it's a good place to catch the water, catch St Paul's Cathedral. Obviously you've got the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge, which will give you a lovely wide angle picture from here. So over here, if you've got not a wide angle, but I guess it is a wide angle lens. If you've got a wide angle lens and you've got the right filters, you can do a really good aspect picture of St Paul's Cathedral, which sits over here from this part of the river. Probably not the best idea to film in flip-flops when you're going around London. I almost slipped and fell on my backside. Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. We're going to go over and head towards St Paul's Cathedral, so let's hit the bridge. Right behind me is a Tate Gallery. Front of me, St Paul's. Behind me, Tate Gallery. Front of me, St Paul's. So let's go over this bridge, and I'm going to take some side shots of the river as well so you can see them. Okay, I'm now at the centre of the Wibbly Wobbly Bridge. Ahead of me is St Paul's, and I think this is the best view of St Paul's that you're going to have. The lens is not telephoto, I'm using the 24mm today. It's slightly lighter than the 60mm, and I've got a 3-stop polarizing filter on the camera, and it's in 5000 as the Kelvin indicator. So let's go over this bridge and head to St Paul's Cathedral, which will become the City of London, or the Square Mile. St Paul's again, closer view. Let's walk along the other side of the South Bank. I love doing these walks around London, especially when it's quiet. I don't like the idea it's quiet, but it's really good for vlogging when it's quiet. So I'm on the opposite side of the river to the Shard. I'm going to walk towards Tower Bridge, then I'm going to walk over Tower Bridge and get to London Bridge Station so I can get home. But when you're filming outside, guys, it's really useful to have one of these filters on, this polarizing filter. It takes away that sunshine glare, although there's still a little bit of it because I'm in 2.8. But look at this, it's so deathly quiet along here. Maybe because it's a private area, I don't know. But it's so quiet. I've never seen London this quiet before. It gets busy in some places as you go down the river towards the Tower of London, but it's really quiet. These red posts indicate that we are in the City of London and the Square Mile on this side of the bridge. I probably should do some more research about this area of London, the city area of London. There's loads of streets that have been here for hundreds of years, and it would be interesting to find out what it was like when the Tower of London was built, what the streets of London were like, how did it look in the 15th century from how it differs now through the centuries. It's something I'm going to consider doing as a series, but I'm just going to keep walking now towards the Tower of London. It appears that London was settled over 1100 years ago. Oh my God, 1100 years of history. It was resettled in the 1100s as part of a Roman settlement called Londonium. So, oh God, there's a lot of history to go through, 1100 years of history. So let's go and carry on walking along here. This path probably has a unique history of its own, so it's time to do some homework into it. In the city has some sort of name for some historical reason. So those are the things I'm going to have to explore while I continue making these walks and journeys of London. So it was overcast this morning, but now it's hotting up. It's supposed to be 30 degrees or something like that. I think it's 30 degrees now. I'm absolutely bloody boiling hot, but I'm going to continue this walk and make sure I drink loads of water because you'll get dehydrated. A bit of land here. It's called Fishmonger's Wharf. Now I don't know whether in the 17th or 18th century this was a place where obviously they traded in fish. I wonder how busy and bustling it would have been at that time. Right now it isn't busy at all. It's really, really quiet. This place is so, like I said, this place is so steeped in history. We've got so much to learn from here. It's nice that they've got all these chairs along the river and the bridge and stuff like that. I really like that. I'm still walking towards Tower Bridge and I'm going to walk across the river. I had a donut this morning, so I'm trying to do all the calories, burn all the calories off. So that's what I'm going to do. This is called Old Waterman's Walk I'm on now. Again, each street in this place, the names have a significance. So I wonder if this was a kind of busy fishing, trading point here, and that fishermen's boats were all parked off here. It looks like there's a couple of boats over here as well, just by the river. If you look there's a couple of fishing boats out here already. So I think this area here, all of this area here, must have been a busy area for fishermen and trade. I think over the next few months I'm going to do some history into this area of London and present it as a vlog for you all, because I think there's a lot of history there. Obviously that's Tower Bridge and we're getting close to the Tower of London, and if you can imagine here, this part of the river here in the 14th and 15th century was like a really busy area for trade. Half the country's trade ran through here. Obviously that bridge, Tower Bridge, wasn't here at the time, but you can imagine there were 20 quays of places where people would be trading, I guess in fish and meat and all sorts of other things. If 50% of the country's trade came from here. The thing about doing these vlogs and holding this tripod out is that you keep yourself awfully fit. So if I walk about 5 or 6 miles today, I would have probably walked off that really lovely donut, and I've got to get myself fit for the boat ride tomorrow. So it's just as well I'm strengthening up my arms. Right, there's only about 400-500 yards now to the Tower of London. Behind me is obviously the London Bridge area, so let's continue on this. Here's another name with significance, Sugar Quay Walk. I can imagine sugar was such a speciality 400 or 500 years ago that finding sugar must have been some sort of rarity. Social distancing poddy things right here, look. These are quite cute actually, over here. People can go in these little pods and they are socially distanced. Let's see what the Tower Bridge looks like right now. At the moment, I'm at the Tower of London right now. At the moment, the visitor number to the Tower of London have sort of slimmed down at the moment because they're not having international visitors, which is causing a problem because some of the beefeaters now will have to be made redundant, which is an absolute nightmare. However, when better times come, round about 9 or 10 o'clock at dusk here, there's a ceremony called the changing of the key. You can't get into that ceremony unless you wait a year and a half and apply online, and you get a personalised tour by a beefeater, which is absolutely amazing. And I had the luck of actually going in the pub, which is run by the beefeaters. But it's very, very quiet here at the moment, which is sad. But hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'm going to get a ticket to go in, because this is an extraordinary place. The Tower of London used to have a zoo inside, and it kept lions and tigers and even had monkeys. And obviously the Tower of London is famed for its executions, and it's the last place prisoners kept in the Tower of London were the Cray twins. So that's some useless facts about this place, the Tower of London. Now I've walked today probably, like I said, a number of miles. I started at the Tate Gallery and I moved over here, which is the Tower of London. And this part of the river is steeped in history. As I said, London is 1100 years, around about 1100 years old, I think, when it started developing into a town and city. And this tower is a very old. Living in a city like London, you tend to forget sometimes how much history is here, because you walk it every day and you take it somewhat for granted. You can probably see the sweat coming off my head now because it's so hot. It's cooled down again. There's a lovely, lovely breeze here. Probably in the 15th and 16th century, public executions used to take place here. So people were beheaded and all sorts of stuff went on in the 15th and 16th century. Okay, I'm on the final leg of this walk now. I'm just approaching Tower Bridge. This is the one the Americans thought they were buying and ended up buying London Bridge. I wonder they felt disappointed in that game. I'm getting increasingly hotter and finding it increasingly harder to hold up this, but it's a bit busier over Tower Bridge. So let's commence the walk. An attraction on this bridge that you can literally go onto the top of it and walk down a glass ceiling. Costs about £15 to go into it. Not too packed in the summer, so it's well worth a jaunt down there. People are practicing social distancing in London, which is a great thing. And also you have to wear a mask on the train and a mask on the underground. So I'm going to stop for a bit. I'm going to approach so you can see what I see when I get to the centre of town. Okay, let's show you a view from the bridge. I'm in the middle of it. I am hot now. Hopefully there's a table in the ivy, because I feel like having lunch in the ivy now. So let's say a prayer and let's hope there are tables in the ivy. Right, I'm almost back on the other side of the river now. That's a bit of a shame. If I wanted the table, I'd have to wait 45 minutes. I'm too bloody hungry to wait 45 minutes. So I'm probably going to go to Waitrose and get something like water to drink, and then I'm going to jump on the train and go back. It was like in the 30s last year, 30 degrees. Now it's like 34 degrees. I'm sticking to my shorts. I'm that hot now. This is pretty though. This is pretty though. Right, I'm just about to go home, so I'm going to conclude this vlog. But what I want to say to people is, at the moment, please try and support your local businesses. If you've got any money to spend, please spend it in local businesses, cafes and restaurants. And if you're outside, please remember to wear a mask. I know some people are frustrated by the fact they have to wear one, but it's important that we do. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to be doing a whole series of these London vlogs, and if you've enjoyed it, please consider liking, commenting and subscribing. And thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again on another one. Bye bye.